Story 1 AITA for how I fought my boyfriend's medical bill, going too far? My boyfriend had to go to the ER after an accident, and he got a truly ridiculous bill back. I offered to fight the bill for her because I've done it before, and he said sure. I went all out, because honestly if we were out 5 grand, after insurance, that would F8CK up our holiday plans pretty bad. So I had him call the hospital and authorize me to handle his bill and access his medical records. Got an itemized bill and compared the prices for each code to the fair prices, called billing to dispute the bill, but was told that billing only collects bills. I'd need to contact admin to dispute. Bounced around a call center for hours trying to get someone who was actually qualified for bill disputes, and getting nowhere. Google and LinkedIn searched for the hospital board of directors and upper management, got 30 emails of the most influential people at the hospital, plus the hospital's investors. Every day would send a few emails, working my way up the chain, and writing an increasingly long email describing how they billed my client at 7 times over the fair price for services rendered, and how their billing department, customer service department, and the growing list of management I'd emailed had failed to address the issue. Escalated the emails until I was writing the director-level staff with the entire board of directors and a number of outside investors CC'd, asking for a written statement regarding their justification for billing at a rate 7 times higher than the national average, for commensurate services to what is available at other hospitals. And sternly laying out the failures to appropriately respond at every level of the company. Well, once I'd done all that, which was honestly only like 15 minutes a day, they reduced the bill from $5,000 to $26. Yep, 26 F8 kin dollars. Well, I told my boyfriend the good news, and he was at first overjoyed and blown away, like literally jumping up and down and hugging me and saying I was literally a Christmas miracle. But then when he asked how I did it, I said it wasn't too hard, I just had to send a couple emails each day. He was curious what I'd said, and I handed him my phone. He started to get stressed, and flipping back through other emails, which there were like 60 of. He told me I went way too far. He was expecting me to dispute through their billing department or something normal and reasonable like that, not internet stalk every single manager and board member and investor and harass them into dropping the bill. I was frustrated because I'd just saved us 5 grand, actually made it possible for us to afford a nice Christmas and save some money, and he was mad at me because I'd been a bit of a hard ass? I was furious, and he was also mad at me, saying he authorized me to dispute a bill, not basically threaten and harass a whole damn hospital for weeks. AITA for how I got my boyfriend's medical bills dropped. Here are some comments. Shuckyducked AH enthusiast. You are a friggin' rock star and should be a damn professional advocate for those who get ripped off in healthcare like this. Your boyfriend is so unappreciative and is clearly clueless on how diligent you need to be to challenge an erroneous bill. When the hospital, doctors, and insurance companies are unwilling to help you resolve their errors, what else are you supposed to do? So many people just quit and either pay the massive bill or go into debt. Tell your boyfriend this is the only Christmas gift you're giving him. Clearly NTA. Zealous Ideal Art 2878 Yes OP. Have you considered offering this service professionally? Dingus Daisy OP. My blood pressure would hate me, and without affordable medical care in this country. Ick, rolling on the floor laughing. Honestly, dealing with the medical system in this country infuriates me. It was so disingenuous at every step. Every single person told me I needed to speak to billing, despite it being a glorified collections office, and the employees there not even being able to see anything but my balance dried bullfrog 3778. Leave him and marry me. I'm a woman and already married, but my husband would understand. Story 2 AITA for telling my girlfriend that being depressed is not an excuse for being lazy. I, 29, have always supported my girlfriend, 23. We have been together for 4 years now, and lived together for 1. She has always had anxiety, as well as depression, where some months are worse than others. I have supported her through all of this, and understand it is very hard for her. In January, she lost her job due to the current world circumstances. By March, she hit a low point with not eating as much, crying, irritability, typical traits of depression. I have comforted her as much as possible and taken care of everything. However, at the beginning of June, I was allowed back to work, and since the house has fallen to shambles, I am too tired by the time I come home to do anything, even cook. Most nights we order takeout, and on the rare occasion she makes food. The floors aren't being washed, hoovering isn't being done, laundry is a mountain, and dishes are everywhere. I try keep on top of it, but with work it is almost impossible. She is home all day. She lies in bed till late afternoon, watches Netflix, eats bowls of cereal, and naps. That's about it. I've tried to gently coax her to do more, and she says she will get to it but never does. I finally snapped, told her I was sick of her doing nothing all day and leaving the housework to me. That if she is here and I am working, she needs to be pulling her weight. She got upset and said that she wants to, but she can never find the motivation. That she is tired all the time. I said I understood she was depressed, but it isn't an excuse to do nothing and be lazy. No one likes housework, but I won't take any more excuses about it. She needs to start doing it or leave. Next day I come home to a clean house and a note from her saying she was sorry and is going to stay with her mother. Her mom helped her clean before they left. I tried calling, but she wouldn't pick up. When I rang the house, her mother answered and had a lot to say. She was furious, telling me about how she is struggling and I am making her worse. That I should be supporting her, not ignoring that she is in a bad place. And so on. I was told my GF had been crying all day in her bedroom, and I feel awful. I never wanted to hurt her, I just snapped. I tried to get her mother to give my GF the phone, but she wouldn't speak to me. It feels like a lose-lose situation. On one hand, I know depression results in lack of motivation and cleanliness. And on the other, I can't stand to see our home in such chaos. I've never had depression, so I can't say for sure how bad it truly is. That's why I find it more difficult to 100% empathize AITA for telling her depression isn't an excuse. Extra info. She has a therapist and talks regularly with them. Her depression is worse since losing her job. Usually she is quite clean and tidy. We don't usually have this issue. She is looking for a job despite depression, etc. I have enough money to support us both in the meantime. Update. Ultimately, I realize that the majority of the blame was mine. I never ever should have called her lazy, because that isn't what she is. I lashed out and I shouldn't have. She stayed at her mother's for a few days, and we eventually met up to talk. I told her how it just got too much for me, but it was no excuse for lashing out, and I apologized. She apologized also, not that she needed to, and we talked for a long while about how we can make our relationship work. I expressed my concerns over her therapist, who was very against anything other than talking therapy. She agreed that he didn't seem to really have her best interests at heart, and she is currently looking for someone new. For now, I suggested she stops looking for work. She got a lot of rejections, and I could see it was upsetting her more. I just felt we should take a step back from that, and I want her to focus a little more on herself. She was unsure as she felt bad that I would be working for both of us, but I assured her it is fine. I make enough to support us both quite comfortably. I also suggested maybe she could volunteer at some point just to get her out and get some more stuff on her resume. I'm no therapist, so these were just suggestions, but it has seemed to have taken some of the pressure off her, which is all I wanted. We agreed that being in the apartment all day alone and in bed is not good for her. So, we came up with a plan that she do an exercise video 3 times a week. It's only a 10-minute one, just so she is doing something. She has found she likes doing them, they make her feel a bit better after, and has started something called yin yoga now too. To help me, she has 1 chore a day to do. I don't care what it is. It could be dishes, or it could just be putting the laundry in the hamper. This rule has at least gotten her out of bed for part of the day, and she's found that once she starts, she sometimes ends up doing more than one thing. I make sure to show my appreciation for whatever she has done, no matter how small it was. We have set out that every Sunday we will have a deep cleaning day where we get everything done for the week. This has been surprisingly successful. We make it fun and just mess around while still getting things done. It makes the week a lot more manageable when we only have light chores to keep on top of. She is trying more, and I am also working on being more supportive about her depression. I'm researching it more and learning ways I can help her because it is a part of her. We are both putting more effort in and communicating a lot better. I hope we keep making progress because I do love her very much and want us to work. Let's head on to the comments. Quidditch rules. It's so nice when these things have a happy ending. Good job on working on your issues and communicating properly. Love, LlamaMama03. Speaking as someone in a marriage with that rule, it's less about insisting on staying awake until things are resolved and more about recognizing that anything can happen and not wanting to risk having major regret. Both my husband and I lost our mothers very young. I was 18 when my mom died, he was 23, and we have both suffered a tremendous amount of loss since, including family and very close friends. In the case of my husband's mother, she fell into a coma very suddenly and spent a month unconscious in the ICU before dying. My own mother died of cancer, but lost her ability to speak very suddenly as a result of a serious seizure. We both learned the consequences of leaving things unsaid, so neither of us wants to risk going to sleep or leaving the house pissed off on the off chance something should happen to either of us. That said, we both readily acknowledge not every argument is easily solvable, so there have been times when bedtime has gone like this: I love you with everything I am, I know that we are going to work this out, I just need more time to cool off before I am able to rationally talk it out. Hugs and kisses, we can both rest easy. I'm sure not every couple with that rule is the same as we are, and we get that it's not feasible or understandable for everyone, but it's important to us. Story 3. Nuclear revenge. Guy behind me in traffic was blinding me in traffic with his high beams, so I violated his retinas with the full force of an afternoon sun. Sorry not sorry. I was driving home from work and traffic was backed up pretty badly for a few miles. It was stop and go. When I get stuck in that, I'll usually back about 75 feet off the car in front of me so that I can hold a pace and move at a slow, but constant roll like the semi-trucks do. This way, I'm not participating in the bumper-to-bumper move and brake like the rest of the smooth brain drivers. Some dude in an Acura crossover was behind me, and I guess he was getting upset because I wasn't 2 feet from the car in front of me, driving like a smooth brain. So he gets up on my butt and starts beeping his horn at me. LOL, I think to myself as I turn up my radio. But then he starts flashing his brights at me, which is where I get annoyed. He's in one of those Acuras that has the super bright LED headlights. My car is much lower than his, so his low beams are already pretty bright in my mirrors. Bright enough that I don't want to look in them. The first time he flashed his high beams, it put spots in my vision for a moment. It genuinely hurt my eyes. After the first flash, he waits for about 10 seconds, beeps his horn, and then flashes me again. Now I'm getting pissed. I'm thinking, where the F8CK do you want me to go? Do you really think being 2 feet from the car in front of you will make traffic move faster? Then he flashes me a third time, but this time he held them on for about 15 seconds. Time for the gloves to come off. During those 15 seconds, as I'm looking away from my mirrors, I see my 14,000 lumen searchlight sitting in my passenger seat, at which point I'm immediately overcome by a wave of chaotic lawful excitement. What he has just set in motion cannot be stopped. I think to myself, oh buddy, you just opened the wrong can of worms. You're gonna learn today. I grab the flashlight and set it to its absolute max 14,000 lumen brightness setting. The flashlight has a sensor in it to automatically dim the light if facing down on a table, because otherwise the diodes would get so hot they would melt the lens. The 14,000 lumen setting is so intense, the 57 watt-hour battery can only hold it for 180 seconds before the flashlight automatically notches down to a measly 9,500 lumens. During those 180 seconds, the light will burn through 15% of its battery power. For reference on just how bright this is, the literal F8 King Sun emits a luminosity of 11,000 lumens per square foot on a bright and clear day. I turn around and aim it straight out the back of my rear window. My car is pretty noisy, so before I turn it on, I rev up my engine to make sure Captain Smoothbrain is eyes forward when I violate his retinas with the full force of an afternoon sun. I hit the power button and can only imagine the freight train of shock and pain that plowed over this man. It was so bright, his automatic headlights shut off because the car thought it was daytime. With the light on, I could see him clear as glass through his tinted windshield. He was covering his eyes and looking down. Probably screaming. I watched him try and flip down his sun visor, but his hand couldn't find it, as I thought to myself, burn you motherfate cur, burn. I imagine my facial expression was similar to that of a 6-year-old roasting insects with a magnifying glass on a bright summer day. After about 5 seconds of blinding light, I took mercy and shut it off. He proceeded to back way the hell off and move over to a different lane. Was this an unsafe thing for me to do? Absolutely. Was this illegal? Almost certainly. Was it warranted? Without question. Possibly the highlight of my year. Drive safe, and don't be a dick to the car in front of you. Because they might just have the tools to teach you a lesson. TLDR, dickhead in traffic was excessively flashing his high beams at me, hurting my eyes, because I couldn't go faster than the car in front of me, so I showed him how it feels. Please note, the contents of this post are my intellectual property, and are protected under common law copyright. Any unauthorized dissemination of this post without my explicit permission is common law copyright infringement.